Welcome to Shedding Light Hunting Stories Podcast, the show dedicated to the average Joe and their favorite hunting stories. I'm your host, Travis Williams, and I believe there's power in a good story. Life and faith lessons we can learn and apply to our lives. Thanks for joining us. Let's dive in.
All right, as always, thanks for joining today on the Shedding Light Hunting Stories Podcast. Today, I have a special guest. His name is Russ. I found him on YouTube when I was watching a video. His channel is called High Pressure Hunting. So today, I'd like to welcome Russ. Well, Russ, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Well, Russ, I found your YouTube video on a Missouri buck, and maybe we'll get to that story in a little bit, but maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of your personal background, your hunting background. Just tell us anything you want to tell us about.
Sure. I'm born and raised in the southern portion of Louisiana. Started hunting when I was young. I don't know, 8, 9, 10, maybe. I'm as I get a little older, my memory kind of fades. So.
Right.
Started with my grandfather. I had a family that was very much into hunting. It was just an everyday conversation, just a lifestyle down here. And I started squirrel hunting with my grandfather and a couple of my uncles and a couple of cousins. And did that for a few years, and then they kind of got me into deer hunting. I killed my first deer. My grandfather put me in a stand, and we baited here. So I want to say it was a spike, if I remember right, and just hunted. You know, just like I said, it was just a lifestyle with them. It was an everyday conversation. If I wasn't in school, I was hunting, whether it be squirrel or deer, and that progressed as I got a little older. Bow hunting wasn't real big back then. I mean, these were back in the days with the where people were pulling 90 pounds, you know, and
the Dan Fitzgeralds and
yeah, exactly. The Golden Eagle days and all that. And I got my first bow. It was a PSE, and I can't even remember the name of it, to be honest with you, but got into that and just realized that was a different dynamic, and really enjoyed that. And just hunted like that for several years. And then we had hunted like North Louisiana and Mississippi, just kind of in the South as far as getting out of state and away from home. But we had never traveled like to the Midwest. We always watched it on TV. And I think like a lot of guys in that time frame, you would watch like the Real Tree Monster Bug videos and everything. And it seemed like it was just out of reach, you know, so we never really attempted it. And then we started, and I must have been in my early 20s, I think. And I remember we went to Missouri. And are you still there?
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry, I had a pop-up screen. I can't see anything. Anyway, so I went to Missouri, and on some public land we hunted, and I think we were only there like 5 days, and I remember I was seeing deer, and I had a nice 8, which was a really good 8 for me, because you have to understand back then down here in the South, just killing a buck, period, or even seeing a buck, a little spike or a 4-point or whatever, was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And this 8-point come in, and he was, you know, grunting and just dogging a doe, and I knew at the time I didn't want to shoot him, and I knew he was probably the biggest deer I'd ever seen. And about the next day, I remember a doe coming out and running across the little lane that I was hunting, going up to a bean field, and a buck coming out. And I mean, he was probably 135 inches, which back then to me was like a 200-inch buck. And I drew on the deer, and the deer hit my ground set. He was about 35 yards, and he stopped. Right, and there was a tree right behind his vitals, and man, I was just sitting there, and he was looking. He knew that I had been through there, and I was drawn and just kind of freaking out, waiting for him. I probably couldn't even hit him. I was so shook up if he had stepped out behind the tree, but he wheeled and left and went downwind and caught my wind. And after that, man, I was just blown away, and I don't think I've missed going to the Midwest ever since that day. Every year I make 2 to 3 trips to the Midwest.
Yeah, and I see you have some videos, like looks like you stay in your truck even. You just kind of set up a little camper in the back of your truck, and so you just find a public land and sleeping in the truck. And
Yeah, I do. For years there, I traveled with some family, and we would get a hotel and split the cost and everything, and hunt in the vicinity of the hotel. And as I kind of progressed into my hunting career, or whatever you want to call it, most of the time, all of the time, up until last year, when I traveled to the Midwest, I hunted public land. I've never had any private. So I realized that being mobile was going to really up my game.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go and try some other states by myself, because some of my family that were hunting, they were kind of sticking to it, one state or two states, and hunting those same areas, which were small areas, and they were starting to receive some pressure. So I knew that I didn't want to, because sometimes when I go, like if I go in November, I may be there 3 weeks, and then I may make 2 trips. I may spend a total of a month or so between 2 to 3 trips, and I didn't really want to pay for a hotel room during that time, and then have to travel from a room, to a spot, and not know if I was going to even be able to find a room if I wanted to change locations or what have you. I just wanted it to be completely mobile, and if I didn't like a spot and I needed to go 20 miles east or whatever, I didn't have to worry about getting a room and all that. So I invested the money into a truck and a camping setup, and I have just loved it. I mean, really
Yeah.
loved it. Some people think I'm crazy because it seems a little difficult, but I just love it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be something to that. Just, you can hunt pretty much wherever you need to. If you can get your truck
Yeah.
there. Um, yeah, I know I hunt here in Michigan. I'm kind of with you. Like, I grew up being able to hunt, although I didn't really start hunting again till probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And this was like the first buck ever shot. And
Oh.
he's 90 inches. But
Uh-huh.
man, I could care less. Like, he is like my favorite deer to talk about the whole story. But here in Michigan, spikes are pretty common for people to be shooting, especially on
Yeah.
public land. But hunting on public land is definitely a challenge in and of itself. And it's like you talked about, it's high pressure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the state land that we go to is really rough to get back into. And I wouldn't say my truck's really lifted, but I have some 35-inch tires on my truck.
Yeah.
And the spot that we go back into, my frame rubs on some of the holes that we're going through. And I think that's
Wow.
what kind of keeps us, there's not a lot of riffraff back where we go. So it's kind of like our own little, I wouldn't say private spot, but there's not a lot of people who go back there. So makes
Right.
it kind of
Right.
nice. But yeah, if you can get your truck back there, kind of,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
your home base is pretty awesome. So
Yeah. Yeah. I love that thing. I just put I've kind of built on it through the years, and I've got it now to where I just put a solar panel on the roof, and I have a little solar powered generator. And I don't know if you've ever saw what they call like a Chinese diesel heater.
I watched your video on it. Yeah, I was watching that.
I have that thing's about it's getting kind of luxurious now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it. Like, you got a power in there. You got a heater. I mean, you got the cot in there. Like,
Yeah. I'm good to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, the viewers, the people who are listening aren't going to be able to see what I see, but I see at least 20 sets of antlers back there. I see several sets of turkey feathers back there.
Mhm.
And I know in some of your videos, I've seen other rooms that have even more antlers in it. So why don't you tell us, we're here for me, I'm in Michigan. October 1st is our opening day of bow season. But I know there's some preseason activities, but really deer season is upon us.
Mhm.
But maybe you could share maybe one of your favorite turkey hunting stories with us, and then hit us with maybe a couple of deer stories.
Sure. Sure. So growing up, I for many years I worked as a house painter and in construction, and during spring, when income tax season started rolling around, people would start getting their income tax money, and my phone would start ringing, for
Oh
people
yeah,
doing remodels. And turkey hunting, I just didn't have the time. I didn't have the time to do it. I did it some with family, but I never really got into it. And when I it kind of worked out, because the guy I works, actually my supervisor at work, Travis, which maybe you've seen it in some of the turkey
okay,
hunting videos. He's in most of them. He is a huge turkey hunter. He's deer hunts a little bit, but his whole mindset is turkey, turkey, turkey. So at that point, I was like, I told my wife, I said, I want to cut down on work. And I had started working for the state of Louisiana, actually, at that time also. So I told her, I said, I want to, I want to slow down a little bit and spend more me time. I've always wanted to really get into turkey hunting. I want to do that. And Travis had never really traveled out of state very much turkey hunting. So we got together and we said, okay. I said, you're a really good turkey hunter. And I'm not, but I want to learn from you, because I know you're the guy I need to learn from. So we kind of started, and uh, a very crazy story. The first turkey hunt I ever went on him on Louisiana public land, we doubled,
Oh,
and
nice.
that was just a blessing because that never happens.
Yeah.
So then, I knew from deer hunting, I kind of found turkeys here and there, and that's during deer season, so you never really know if they're going to be there or not during turkey season. But I told him, I said, look, I know a lot of areas in the Midwest, and you've never been. And I said, let's go, kill some birds. And he was like, well, I want to go kill a Merriam, and I, want to kill some different species. Excuse me. But his son Lucas usually goes with us. And one morning we were in Nebraska, and we had hunted some birds for a few days. And one morning we struck one that was just on fire. And he came in, and it was Lucas's shot. We kind of just trade and try to get us all a tag, fill us all a tag. We hunt a lot together because I film, and but we kind of like take turns with shot placement, taking turns shooting one, being a trigger man. And anyway, the bird came out, and Lucas shot and missed the bird. Well, Travis drew up and shot the bird, and the bird went down in a canal. And Lucas was devastated that he missed the turkey. He had been waiting on his shot, and he was just about in tears. And then, of course, that kind of upset Travis, because the father and son thing. He hated to see his son get upset. But the turkey, we thought the turkey was dead. He was on no, he was on like a levee there. And all of a sudden we were standing around talking. I mean, it's probably been like 10 minutes or so. And the turkey got up and went down in this canal. And Travis was about to shoot him, but we waited, and he said, no, I think he's done. So he went down in there, and he was really, really muddy. And he grabbed that thing and it come alive, and it dug into him and got a hold of him. So that just made the whole situation worse. So that was a pretty bad, a great turkey hunt, but a bad turkey hunt, all in the same.
Yeah.
But a lifelong memory right there,
Yeah, for sure. And he's probably got the scars to prove it, right?
Yeah, and he was very concerned because that canal was pretty nasty looking, and the bacteria or whatever, and we're away from home. So, but it worked out good. It all worked out good.
And Russ has got that all on video. We'll have a link to that video in the show comments here. But I watched that video just the other day, and that's just crazy. I've shot 4 turkeys now, and I just got into it a few years ago. And either it seems like that bird is just kicking like crazy, or it's just knocked out and it's just done. And that bird, I mean, you guys walked up, and it appeared to just be a knockdown dead shot, and all of a sudden it's breathing and back to life, and that was crazy.
It was like I don't know, a 12 or 15 yard shot too. I mean, you just think he was done, but he wasn't.
Yeah, that was wild for sure.
Yeah.
So your home state is Missouri, right?
Louisiana,
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, sorry. I have some notes, and I know you have hunts in Missouri. So when does bow season start for you there?
In Louisiana?
Yeah.
Around my area, it's October 1st.
Okay.
Here and I do a lot of hunting in Mississippi because I kind of live like almost on the state line, so I do a good bit of hunting in Mississippi. Excuse me. And it's around October the 1st is the first of Archery. They have a September, I think it's 15th velvet hunt. It's like a 2-day weekend hunt.
Okay.
And then the season opens on the 1st of October.
Yeah, that's cool. I know we have like an early season doe, and then this coming weekend they have a youth and liberty hunt, so disabled veterans can go out. My brother-in-law is a disabled veteran, and he is he's excited. It'll be the first year he can go out for that. So they
Wow.
kind of have before the season access to some to get those deer. So and
Yeah.
it's and they allow in Michigan, it's the only time they allow baiting in the Lower Peninsula as well.
Really?
So they can put out, I don't remember what the rules are. I think it's like 5 or 10 pounds of bait in like a 10 square foot area or something like that. So,
Huh.
but he's looking forward to that. So,
That's awesome.
but yeah, so deer season's coming up. I'm sure you're ready with your bow.
Oh,
Um,
man.
yeah, I'm chomping at the bit myself. I haven't shot in a few days and I need to get out. I love shooting. So tell us, let's get on some deer stories.
Sure. I mean, I've got a ton, but if you, I'll tell you about the one last year because it's a pretty interesting story. And it's not so much just the deer itself, but so like I told you before, from up until last year, my travels have always been public land. Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Arkansas, just off the top of my head. And ironically, I got a message from a guy, and he said, "My name is so and so, and I watched your YouTube channel, and it just seemed like you were a very legit guy. And I live in Missouri, and I have several pieces of private that I hunt, and I was wondering." He said, "If you," I think the first question he asked me was, "Is Missouri in your plans this fall?" And anyway, he said, if Missouri becomes part of your plans or in the future, he said, give me a call. I'd like to invite you up to do some hunts. And to be honest with you, I was a little weirded out by that because that has never happened ever. That's like the craziest thing in the world to me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I kind of Facebook stalked the guy a little bit, and he has a lifelong history in law enforcement. Nice Christian guy, good family, and I just couldn't find anything out of the ordinary about it. And so I started talking to him on the phone, and we just became friends. And I went up there. I went up there. I believe it was a couple of days before the season opener on October, uh, September 15th, I think it is. Missouri opens, if I remember right.
Hmm.
And I did some scouting, and I made a couple hunts, and then I came back to Louisiana, and then I went back up there. I believe I got there on October the 28th. And the deal was I could hunt some with him, some days on some of the farms, and then some days because some of the farms were permission, and I couldn't just go by myself. He had to go, and he had to work some, so I was kind of bouncing from those to public.
Okay.
And he is he's a lifelong hunter, and those are his farms that he hunts, and he only shoots mature bucks. So I've I'm not saying I would go on public land and just not shoot a deer unless he's 150, no matter where I go. It's kind of like area specific for me.
Right.
But out of respect for him and what he does and the little management stuff that he does, I kind of had it in my mind. I'm not going to shoot anything. I'm not going to fill this tag on these farms unless it's 140-inch deer or something like that. And
Right.
man, I bow hunted every day. I think I missed 2 mornings because of bad weather. And I just I saw deer, and I just never saw a buck of I never saw a 145-inch deer, anywhere. Not on the road at night, not hunting, not across the cornfields or the draw or anything. I just didn't see it, and I was getting really frustrated. And there was this one particular farm that he told me that I could hunt anytime. And there was a draw that came up this farm. It was a cut cornfield. There was one draw that came up it, and I put a couple of cameras on it, and I just wasn't getting very much activity at all. But across the road there was a standing cornfield that had never been cut, huge standing cornfield. And as they got closer and closer to rifle season, I went in and made a couple of bow hunts, and the area that most of the deer were coming out of to go up that draw was a piece of private, and the guy had moved cattle in there. So he really killed the deer movement then.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But a day or two before gun season opened, I started seeing on my cameras, I started seeing some does and a few bucks coming up that draw, more deer activity than I had saw. And at the end of that draw, there was some scrapes and some rubs. I found that scouting it. And all of a sudden I got a picture of a really good deer in that area on a different section of that farm. And then I got this deer on camera. So I went and I realized that he had moved the cattle off of that piece of ground that joined it. And I was like, okay, it's time to hunt this now. So I was really bummed out, man, because it was rifle season. I think it was the following day. Bow season was over, and I really wanted to kill one with my bow, and I just hadn't had the opportunity. And I was supposed to actually leave that following day, and a massive cold front was coming in, and it was raining and just crazy wind. I couldn't even get in a tree. So I went and I got across the field from that draw where I had pictures of that deer, and I just kind of set up on the fence row there with my rifle. And I couldn't even bring my big camera because the wind and the rain was just crazy. And I saw that deer. He come out in the corner of that cornfield where that draw met the private that had previously had the cattle on it. And he cut that field. And when I saw him, I was like, oh God, I didn't know it was the same buck. I just knew that was a definite shooter.
Yeah.
And he went into that draw, coming up the draw my way. Well, a couple of moments later, two does came out of that draw and crossed the cornfield and crossed the fence like 20 yards from me. And I said, okay, he's going to come up that draw. He's either knows the does are there or he's going to cut the doe trail and he's going to cross this field and I'm fixing to get a shot. So I waited and I don't know, 15 minutes later, I heard some blue jays cutting up in that draw. And then I seen him. He was facing me and he had his head turned behind. He was grooming his back.
Yeah.
But there was too much brush in the way. But I was like, he's gonna go where the does went. So he stood there a minute, and all of a sudden, here come the does back from behind me, and went back in the draw. And I didn't see him again. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And that was in the evening. So the next morning, I couldn't get. I know where I wanted to be. I wanted to be where that draw went into that piece of private because that's where he had came from. And that's where the majority of the deer were coming from, traveling that draw. And I know that he was coming out of that block, traveling that draw, checking for does, and then checking those scrapes at nightfall at the end of that draw where it played out in those other cornfields. But I couldn't get in there because of the wind. So I got about 200 yards in the middle, kind of in the middle of that draw, and hunted that morning. And I didn't see anything. And about 1 o'clock, I said, okay. Well, the other thing was I wasn't familiar with, I didn't know where I could get in a tree there also, because I would have had to go in the dark. Wind was a little bit wrong. I said, I don't want to mess it up. Right. So I said at 1 o'clock, about 1 o'clock or so, I'm going to get out and I'm going to go and I'm going to find a tree. And that was the last. I had to actually come home the next day. I'd actually pushed my trip a couple of days later because of that cold front coming in. So about 1 o'clock, I think it was, if I remember right, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I got down and I eased in there and I got up in a tree where I wanted to be. And man, I hadn't been there long at all. The front had passed. It was cold. It was clear. It was that pressure like I was talking about before was just perfect. And it was about 3 o'clock or something like that. I think I grunted a couple of times. I hadn't rattled or anything. I don't remember. I don't recall. And I was set up in my saddle, kind of facing this way, and the camera was over here, and the draw run like this behind me. And I just caught something out of glimpse out of my peripheral, and I looked, and it was a rack, and I could see the rack turn and looking straight toward me. And I was like, oh man, I can't move. I couldn't tell if he was looking at me or just looking down that draw. And there was a big ditch. If you watch the video, you see that big ditch, and he was facing across that ditch. So in my mind, I was thinking, if he don't come up this draw, he's going to cross the back of this cornfield, which means he's going to go straight away from me. Yeah. So as soon as he turns his head and I know he's not looking at me, I've got to do something. I've got to get my rifle around and get this camera around and all that, Well, he would turn his head and I would go to move and he would turn it back. I'm like, man. So he turned his head. I finally got my rifle up and I got I think it was my Insta 360 on. And I looked over to grab my camera And when I went to move it, it kind of got hung up on something. And I think I double punch record. And when I look back, he had turned and was coming down the draw, and he was like right there. I mean, 15 or 20 yards. So I hate that I didn't get the perfect, camera angle on him, but I just had
Yeah.
to wheel and shoot, and I just dropped him. He didn't even move, and I was like, man. I mean, I don't remember how many days that was. It was 21 days or something like that. I had hunted and hunted and hunted, and for that to happen at the last day,
That's
and
crazy.
that was just a prayer answered. That was a blessing. That's the only way I can I can describe it.
Yeah, and I'm there with you. Like self-filming your hunts takes, like hunting is difficult enough. Add in your saddle hunting. There's a little bit more complications with that, a little bit more nuances with that, and then add in self-filming. Like
Yeah.
holy smokes, I've been self-filming since I think 2019. I should say attempting to self-film, and
Mhm.
I have zero really good kill shots on camera. Like there's always something, and I can't tell you the number of deer I've lost because they catch me hitting the record button or trying to move the camera or like you name it. It is so difficult. And I had my first bow deer was a 6 pointer, and I was all excited because I thought that I had caught that kill on camera. Turned out I had the camera pointed at the completely wrong bush, so when he came out, I didn't have it on film at all.
Yeah.
But man, it's you want to add some difficulty to your hunt, try taking a camera along with you,
It
or
is.
two or three cameras.
It's tough, especially bow hunting. Rifle, it's a little bit easier, but bow hunting, man, it is. Do you rifle hunt or do you just bow hunt?
Yeah, rifle. Like I've yet one deer with a bow, multiple deer with a crossbow. Um, but I probably 10 or 11 with a gun. But I really have tried to focus in on archery, really. I love archery.
Yeah.
Um, I've got two bows. I'm dialed in up to 100 yards. Like,
Yeah.
I
I
love,
watched some of your archery stuff and your tack stuff, and I was like, this guy here can shoot, man.
yeah. I'm part of a group, and really, I can think there's a group that I ran into because of a 3D archery range, archery course, the R100. Uh, Met up with a couple guys I was shooting with, and we have this group called Bows and Bibles. So we meet every other Tuesday. We shoot bows, have a little Bible study, and the cool part is these guys are good, and
Yeah.
they have like come alongside me and kind of coached me and like, hey, try this release. Hey, try this release. Try doing this with your form, and like really upped my game. And I tell you what, that's something. If you're struggling, I would
Mhm.
encourage you find some people who are far better than you and hang out with them
Right.
because
Right.
man
Yeah.
they've been a huge help to me for sure, helping me tweak little things here and there. Try this arrow setup, try doing this, and it's been a huge help.
They
So,
get you motivated to be better and shoot more and everything, I'm sure.
oh yeah. I mean, whether or not I want to, well, I mean, I guess I could not go, but every other Tuesday we're shooting for sure,
Yeah.
and we do it through January, February. Doesn't matter. It's 0 degrees outside. We will go shoot outside for at least half hour, 45 minutes, and every other Tuesday. It's crazy.
That's cool.
But I've been part of the group for about a year and a half, and it's
Yeah.
so. But yeah, that is super cool. And is this the buck that you had some more adventures with after this?
Yeah. So when once we got the deer out, um sorry, I'm kind of getting over some junky cold stuff. We
Yeah,
got the
get rid
deer
of that
out.
before hunting season.
Yeah, man, I'm pretty much over it, but I just still kind of got the mucus and all that stuff that just lingers forever. So the deer had a scar, like a round circular scar. I just thought maybe it was a fighting scar or something, but it was like right kind of between his shoulder blade and his spine. Uh, I didn't pay much attention to it, and when we were caping him out, uh, my buddy was helping me, and he's like, "Man, this looks weird." So we kind of got to digging in there, and I seen something black, in the mist. Like, what is that? And we started pulling on it, and it was a broadhead and a broken off bolt, like from a crossbow. I'm not sure what the broadhead was. Some guys had commented on the video. I think they may have said maybe it was a severed broadhead. I'm not really
Okay.
sure. Uh, but yeah, he had taken that thing was just lodged in there, man. And I don't know. I don't think it had been in there for very long, maybe a few months or so, but I'm not certain. It seemed like his hide would have closed back, but
Yeah.
tough old brute, man. And I'm sitting there going, man, I'm glad I'm not the guy that shot him and lost him because
That that'd haunt you in your dreams for sure, man.
yeah, yeah. But he had toted that thing and he didn't have a limp or anything. He just,
Crazy. I mean, those deer are just, they never cease to amaze me, some of the stuff you see.
yeah, yeah.
I caught on camera last year. I was pulling my trail cameras in like February or something, and I was already done hunting, but I just thought I'd cruise through all the pictures, just see if I could see any bucks that made it through the season. And I found a doe, a three-legged doe.
I
And
saw that. I saw that.
I thought maybe she had just, like got it cut off or eaten or whatever. But I think she was born without it, and she made it through the season and has fawns, or at least one fawn this year. And now I'm kind of
Really?
like the landowner that had permission to hunt there says that they wouldn't mind me taking a deer and giving it to him for meat. So I was like, all right, I have it's only 7 acres, so like if I shoot a deer, chances are it's going on neighbor's property, and I'm gonna have to ask permission. And so I
Right.
tried to. I have not shot a deer there yet, but I say, if you want a doe, I see does every time I go out. I will put a doe down. And she's like, are you going to shoot the three-legged doe? I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I'm like, I feel like she gets a free pass if she comes out, like she's already proved herself. She made it through winter. I feel like she gets a free pass.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, there's,
she's made it that far and dealt with it. I mean, she's earned it,
yeah.
I guess.
So what did that buck score? It was a really nice buck.
Yeah, he was I think he was 156 and something odd. I'm not sure. I had him scored a buddy of mine who's really good at scoring. Now, I've never been I score deer, man, but that's not I've got a ton of deer that I've never even scored. It's not a really big thing to me, but everybody kept asking me, what does he score? What does he
Yeah,
score? So we scored him at 158, and we messed up by I don't even remember what the mistake was, and we went back and rescored him, and he was I think he was 156 and something, and he doesn't have a huge frame, but he's got a lot of points, and he's got these crazy brows is what really pushes him up, and he carries his mass a lot.
yeah.
Is what put him there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you
My
tell us?
biggest buck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
I wish
that
he would have been. I wish I mean, he was within archery range, and the shot was like I was like, oh, I wish this would have been a bow kill, but I was just
yeah,
thankful for him. Either way.
yeah, yeah, for sure. What would you say? Is it maybe besides him? Tell us one of your most memorable buck stories.
Oh, okay. I got a really good one. I was hunting in Nebraska. There was a spot I found in Nebraska. It was on public land. It was a river crossing, and I hunted this particular spot for a few years until the pressure got kind of hectic on it, and I kind of abandoned Nebraska. The area got hit with EHD, and the hunting really went down. So I finally abandoned it. But anyway, it was a river crossing, and I was hunting it. I had been hunting it for about a week and a half, bouncing in and out of different areas, but always coming back to that spot because it seemed to be really productive when it got closer to the rut and a cold front came. It was a bend in a river, and there was a bluff on down, and then back this way the river was kind of wide, so it was almost like not a narrow pinch, but it was a bend in the river where the deep channel kind of fades out into a flat area, and then there's a bluff down here that they couldn't get up the bluff, so it kind of forced them into that little corridor to cross right there. And also, there was an old abandoned plot across the river, and I noticed they would skirt the edge of that. So the way the area was, it was kind of a corridor, for them to travel. And I was sitting there, and it was really super cold. I remember sitting there that morning. Only had a couple of days left, and it's funny because, and I don't know why, but I have a lot of luck on my last couple of days when I go on a trip. I've always been that way. It's like this crazy thing with me. It's always, I'm like a last minute person. I have no idea why. Anyway, this doe come out, and I seen the doe when she come across the bank. And I mean, it was like one of those mornings where it's super cold, just frosty, and the sun's coming up, and it's like
Yeah.
glistening off the frog. Just beautiful, beautiful morning.
Yeah.
And the doe come out, and she came across the river, and she turned a little bit in the river, and she went down and she crossed up on the edge of the bluff, and she went on out to my right. And I was just kind of looking, and I heard a grunt from across the river. It was really calm that morning. I heard the buck grunt. I couldn't see him, and I heard a bush. I could tell he was rubbing a bush or something over there. And then I seen him. I seen him coming, and he come down, and he was a straight 10 point, not a huge buck, maybe 130-inch deer. And he hit the water, and he couldn't see the doe. He was behind the doe, but he couldn't see her from where he was at. And he come across the river, and I thought he was going to come right there under me. And he turned almost like he knew where she turned, because she came across the river and actually turned in the river. She didn't come straight across. And when he got right where she turned, he stopped and looked. It was almost like he knew where she turned from the scent on the top of that river, which I've never understood that to this day. Like, how in the world? And he did. So he turned, and when he come up, I lost him, and he come up the bank. And man, he come up, and his head come up, and that sun was hitting him, and that breath was just misting in that sunrise. It was it's a moment that is just etched into my mind. Just a beautiful picture. And the doe was over here, and he was right here, and I was like, man, when he hits this bank, he's going to go away from me. I'm never going to pull him away from that doe, unless that doe comes. So when he went up the bank and got out a little way, I hit the grunt tube. And he turned. He still didn't know where the doe was at. I don't think, to my knowledge. I hit the grunt tube, and he turned around and looked, and he looked at me and back toward that doe, and back at me and back toward that doe, and he just stood there. And he made a couple of steps toward that doe, and I just really, really soft grunted, just back. And he turned, and he came right in, and I shot him at like 8 yards.
Wow.
And I will never forget that hunt, because I mean, pulling one off of a hot doe just never happens. That's never going. And just that image in my mind of him crossing that river and coming up that little bank, and that sun hitting him, and his breath, and he's just a big old swolled up, rutting Midwest buck. It's just, I don't know. That's crazy. I love it.
I mean, I can just picture it like in my mind. It's like this like perfect little, video of him coming up. That's just, yeah.
And I wasn't filming back then, man. And I wish I was. I wish I could have filmed that hunt. That's just one of the most memorable hunts I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's honestly, I started doing YouTube stuff just because of COVID. Everybody's at home, and I just was bored out of my mind, and I was like, I got to do something. I mean,
Yeah.
I should say it's stuff I was already doing. I was just like, let's try videotaping. And
Right.
at this point, there's a lot of videos that I never even post publicly on YouTube. I make a lot of my family videos that I put on there just because I love the memories, so I can look back on them. And
Right.
I think that's half the reason that I honestly film my hunts is we go to deer camp every year here. So we go up opening day of gun season is November 15th, and we usually go up the week beforehand to a friend's house up a few hours from here. And there's 4 or 5 of us, and a lot of times we get talking about previous year, and they're like, oh, pull up 2023's video, and we just sit there and we'll watch 20. Oh yeah, remember that? And it's just a great fun time to reminisce and share those memories is one of my favorite things, honestly. So
Yeah. I always have that if you got it on film. Yeah. I think COVID. I think a lot of people developed some new hobbies during COVID.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I've always kind of been the dorky dad in the background, like pulling out. I mean, cell phones obviously gotten so advanced, so now it's like pulling out the cell phone to record stuff.
Yeah.
And my joke used to be like, it didn't happen if I didn't record it. So, I started
Right.
really thinking about hunting, filming the hunts just kind of became natural. Like, oh, you got to record it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's an absolute blast. So, all right, I'm gonna like totally hit you off guard.
Sure.
Hunting season's coming up. Give me
Hmm.
5 things that you're not going into the woods without.
5 things I'm not going into the woods
And
without.
obviously the obvious things you need your weapon, you need your clothes, but 5 maybe oddball things or things that you just definitely aren't going into the woods without.
If I'm going into the woods here around here in the South, if I go in the woods without a thermocell, I might as well be committing
Oh,
suicide. So,
okay,
a
yeah, yeah.
thermocell, snake boots or snake chaps for down here in the South.
Is that
Uh,
obviously you're wearing them, so it's got to be like a pretty common issue. Like we don't have anything to be worry about down up in
yeah,
Michigan, but
I never wear them up north or in the Midwest, but down here I've had some moments that I had near death experiences.
oof. Yeah, and you don't
So
want
I
that when you're
wear
a
them,
couple
man.
miles back in the woods or something. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, a headlight, my camera gear, some form of camera gear, and my phone for sure.
Yeah.
Is that 5?
Uh, I wasn't actually counting, but it sounds about right.
Okay.
So let me ask you: are you one of the guys? Because I am. I'm not. I'm not going to lie about it. Are you? Do you find yourself on the phone playing a game or scrolling the internet a little too much when you're in the stand?
I do. It's situational. There's a lot of times during the rut, especially in the Midwest, where I'm in a tree all day. It may be the same tree. It may be get out at lunch and go to another tree and get up in a tree. I'm traveling a long way and spending my money, and I got a limited time to get it done. So I'm taking it.
Right.
I'm managing my time. So in the middle of the day, I may be. If it's super calm and I can hear pretty good. Even at prime time, I may respond to a text or something like that. Um, if I'm rifle hunting, like if I was rifle hunting on my lease in a box stand or something, which I don't have the lease anymore. I lost it. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, but a lot of times it's just situational. Like depends on if it's a
Yeah.
dead time during the day. But in prime time, especially during the rut, I'm I make quick reply text messages, but I'm pretty focused trying
Yeah.
trying to get it done.
So are you primarily a saddle hunter, or kind of a mix of both, or what?
I am a mix of both. I prefer saddle hunting, but I am whatever I need to be where I need to be. If I can't get in a tree with that saddle, I'll put a lock on in it. At my lease, we had a few box stands that you could see a long way, mainly for rifle hunting. I would hunt that, or sit on the ground or whatever. I prefer the saddle because I like to kind of be mobile, and one of my favorite things about a saddle is if I'm hitting a new piece of ground or I'm going scouting or whatever, and I got it with me. If I find some hot sign, I don't have to go back and get a stand and come in there and hang it and then leave and maybe come back, leave sitting around. I can just hunt it right then and there, and I feel like that just kind of gives you a little bit of better advantage, especially on a good mature buck.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a mix as well. Especially the state land that we go and hunt. I'm going up hopefully this weekend to set
Mhm.
up some trail cameras and stands up there, and I usually set up more stands than I like to admit.
Yeah.
Probably 4 to 5 stands in this area. But I take my saddle with me, and I think last year during that week, at least 3 or 4 of my hunts were out of a saddle in different spots that I hadn't set up before, including opening day a gun. I decided
Yeah.
last minute that I was going to saddle hunt in an area I hadn't been. And
Right.
yeah, that saddle just comes in handy. And I think you can hide behind a tree a little bit better. You
Yes.
can
Yes.
swing, get a full 360 that you really can't get in a stand.
Right. And to me, for long, long sits, and I know everyone is different on this, but I just find it more comfortable than sitting in like a hang on or something. I get a little uncomfortable sitting for long hours in a hang on or a lock on, and I feel more comfortable in the saddle. I could just feel like I could just sit for hours,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Have you got maybe time for one more story for us? Any hunting story you want?
Let's see. Um, you want a turkey story or a deer story?
Whatever you want.
Hmm. Okay. Um, I have a story that happened a few years ago. That I thought was a pretty cool hunt. Just off the top of my head, I'd really have to sit and so many of them. So I went to Mississippi for on public land in an area I'd never been to, and I decided I was going to take. It was the rut. I decided it was rifle season. I decided I was going to take a couple of days and scout, and so I scouted. I think it was a couple of days, and I found an area, and I liked the way the area set up, and I decided that that was the best area I had found. So I said, "Oh, this area gets hunted by dogs a lot. It's pretty tough." So
Dog using dogs to hunt deer?
using dogs on public
Oh,
ground, yeah, it happens a lot on
okay.
national forest in Mississippi and down here in the South.
I don't know. Okay. That's
Yeah,
interesting. I guess I didn't realize that was a thing.
it is down here. It's a little different down here, man. I mean, we got like 3 months of rifle season, and on a lot of these big national forests, they run running dogs is legal, and
Okay.
they get crazy with it. So I found this area, and it was a good pinch between. It was like where this one drain came off of a gravel road and just ran down and it hit this other drain, and there was a finger that came off of this drain. It was almost like a big sinkhole right here, and this drain fell off and got really really deep. So a deer traveling in that area was either going to have to travel the other side of the drain, which there was a food plot a couple of hundred yards from there. And public land, the food plots are usually going to have some human activity on them.
Oh yeah.
And so there was a funnel between that drain and this sinkhole, and the deer were coming around, there was a gravel road that ran this way, so they were coming parallel on the gravel road or maybe crossing it, whichever, and they were kind of going down the edge of that drain between that sinkhole and the bluffs on this drain, or the only way to get across this drain, they would have to cross it where the washouts kind of started. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's kind of hard to explain. So anyway, I found that spot and I said, you know what? I think this is the best spot that for me to go. I think I'm going to make a sit on it. I had hunted a time or two before that hunt, but it was mostly like on the ground scouting and doing a little bit of rattling and stuff. Saw a couple of deer. So that was like my first real sit where I had some confidence, right? So I went in there that morning. I kind of had already had a little route on my phone, I'd say, and kind of knew the tree. I went in there with my saddle a little bit before daylight, and I got set up. And just after daylight, I guess it was about 7:30. That seems to be the hot morning time around here in the South. There was a couple of does that came through and came right to that sinkhole and kind of went around the edge of it. And then not long after that, a spike came through. And then I saw two deer off in the distance, probably 150, 200 yards away. This is timber. This is, all timbered woods.
Okay.
And I could tell they were rack deer. I couldn't tell much about them. And it looked like they were going to cross and go and not follow these does or the spike. So I made a couple of grunts, and one of them turned and I saw him. I was like, man, that's a shooter buck. And for that area, he was a pretty good buck. So instead of coming to me, he decided to cross that drain right before where it dropped into those bluffs. And man, he just took forever. I sat there and watched him, and he turned and he walked right down the edge of that drain. And he was probably 100 yards from me or so, and he just stopped. And I've got the rifle on him, and he is behind a couple of bushes, and all he had to do was make a step. And I'm telling him, he sat there. I bet it was 20 minutes. He just sat there, just looking. And I was like, man, he's going to turn and go away from me. He can't come to me because he's not going to go down in that drain and come back up. It's like he's going to go between me and that food plot or something. And my arm was about to fall off, dude.
Yeah. It is amazing sometimes how long deer can just sit so still for so long.
So long. And you can tell those deer is just so pressured. They really, every step they take is just monitored so much. Anyway, he finally gave me a chance, and I shot him, and he went down in that drain and died in that drain. And that's a video. It's Mississippi Pinch Point Buck, I believe is the name of that video.
Okay. We'll
But
try to
that
have a
was
link
just
to that video too.
that was just a really cool hunt because I got down in that drain. I was by myself and I couldn't drag him out of there. I wound up field dressing him and everything down in that drain in the water and packing him out and everything. And it was just to go in and find a spot like that and kind of kill him on your first hunt, a buck on that public land it's just something that rarely happens. And
Yeah.
it, just a really good hunt, multiple bucks. And
Yeah,
I
that's cool.
didn't think I was going to get a shot on him, but I finally did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's encouraging. So
Yeah. That's the kind
awesome.
of stuff I love, man. It just makes me want to do it all the time,
Yeah, right. That's what keeps you going,
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, Russ, I appreciate the time. Why don't you tell the listeners where they can catch you on YouTube and social media?
Sure. I am on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, but I can tell you now my Instagram and TikTok doesn't get much activity. I'm trying to spend more time on there. I hate TikTok, but everybody's telling me I got to do the TikTok thing anyway.
Yeah.
So, but most of my stuff, 99.9% is on YouTube. I've been filming I'm kind of new at it. I think this may be my 5th year, if I remember right, 5th or 6th year. It's something I'm really, really passionate about. I'm always trying to learn and get better at it and just capture more stuff and get better quality in the whole 9 yards. So most of my stuff is on YouTube. Some of it is on Facebook, but it's High Pressure Hunting is the name of the YouTube channel, and High Pressure Hunting on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok.
Awesome. And I definitely recommend the channel. I found you there and I've binge watched a lot of your videos. So a lot of great information in there too. I also learned today on your I asked you about your logo. On your logo, you have the 30-20 factor. Maybe tell people what that is real quick.
Yeah. So sometimes there's a misconception with the name High Pressure Hunting. It's a double. It has a double meaning. It's not necessarily. I think a lot of people take it for like high pressure hunting, like high pressured public land or high pressured land, and it is in some of the sense because some of the land I hunt is high pressured. But the main definition of it comes from barometric pressure, which usually a barometric pressure of around 30.20 is like the ideal in my experience and for game movement, whether it be turkey, deer, any game. And 90% of the time that, or I might say 99% of the time, that pressure is always as a rise right after a cold front. It's usually like the day after the front when the bad weather's gone and you wake up to like a bluebird sky or whatever, and it's calm and you got that steady north wind and it's cold. That is in the range, the vicinity of that 30.20 barometric pressure. Give or take a few, it's just a ballpark. It's a really, really good time to be in the woods. And that's where the name comes from.
That is very cool. Definitely putting that into the memory bank to watch for that now. So
yeah, check it out. I do a lot of traveling. I hunt the South and the North. Byron Forbes just joined the YouTube channel last year. He actually has land in the Mississippi Delta. And if you're from the South, everybody knows about the Mississippi Delta. He manages deer there, and he has some big deer and has some great hunts. And he's coming along with me. And a lot of people are interested in that. So check that out too.
awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. And hopefully guys will be able to check out all the info on Russ's channel. And thanks for sticking around.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for having me, and good luck this year in Michigan.
All right, thanks.
Well, all right. That was a great interview with Russ, and really, you need to check out his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of great hunting content, a lot of great tips that he shares on his channel, so go check that stuff out. But something I want to talk to you guys about is hunting season is coming coming up real close here, and something's been on my heart for a while is there's a lot of people who like to say that they are closer to God out in the tree stand than they are in a church pew, and there's no doubt that you can definitely feel close to God out in nature, and I do know that. But I don't think that trumps the fact of that you should be part of a local church body and you should be worshiping God with other believers. But here's what I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with this, Psalm 46. Psalm 46 says this. It says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. There's a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, and the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolation on the earth. He makes war cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bows and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. In verse 10, it culminates in this, Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. And I don't know about you guys, but I am extremely busy. Our family life is extremely busy. We have a lot of things that we do. And a lot of times we can get anxious and we can be so busy. And I think social media and just how busy we are today, there's a lot of social anxiety. There's a lot of stress that we put on ourselves. And something that we need to know is God cares for us. The God who created the entire universe, the sun, the moon, the stars, our galaxy. And just when you start backing away, we're just such small dots on the planet Earth. And then you keep backing away, and Earth is just another planet in the solar system. And then our solar system is just one of many in a galaxy. And then our galaxy is just one in many galaxies. God created us. And man, he cares about us. He says, the Bible says that he knows the number of hairs on our heads. And some of us has less hairs than others. But it is just so cool that we have a God who cares about us. And God commands us this in verse 10. It says, Be still and know that I am God. And that's a time I cherish in the woods when I can just sit and be still and just kind of let that stress melt away. And just be there, be present, and just pay attention and open yourself to God. And I really challenge you this hunting season, instead of playing video games, instead of checking Facebook, instead of playing something on your phone, why don't you open up God's Word? Why don't you open up the Bible app and read a psalm? Read a couple of psalms. Read a Proverbs while you're in the tree stand. That's my challenge to you today. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's podcast. As always, shed the light.